Let's have a very real conversation about how athletes and parents should respond after a really tough weekend where nothing seems to go right and the team loses every single game. Raising athletes, the things that causes all dads to go bald and moms to buy minivans, empowering parents to help their kids succeed. Let's be honest. Sometimes the wheels fall off and the team that you're on, they lose every single game. And you personally, you don't play well at all. And what happens is parents end up being frustrated. Kids end up feeling defeated. It happens. So today we're going to be talking about how parents and athletes can respond to those moments so that we can turn setbacks into comebacks into long-term success stories and victories. Because ultimately we can take a weekend like that and turn it into one of the most beneficial experiences your child will ever have. The reality of bad weekend tournaments, they happen. A little bit perspective, though, I think is important. Even great teams have bad weekends. Sports are unpredictable. Just look at the 1927 Yankees, as good as they are, and they are arguably considered the best sports team in the history of sports. Even that team, they lost 44 games that year. So even the best of the best have moments where they are not successful. But ultimately, they turned even those losses into being world champions into the greatest run in the history of sports for any sports team. Every athlete, team, and coach, they're going to experience this. But it's important to understand that it's not a sign of failure. It's simply part of development. Now, here are some common parent and athlete responses to moments like this. Oftentimes, parents will think, what happened to this team? Why aren't they prepared? Do we need to switch teams? Maybe this coach isn't right. Sometimes the athletes will think, I'm not good enough. I let my team down. Everyone is mad at me. We'll never win again. Oh, it was their fault. Now, how teams and athletes should, in fact, though, respond to these, and I'll acknowledge it, tough, challenging moments. It's okay for us to experience difficulty. That's not a bad thing because that helps us to develop resilience. And we're going to get into that subject a little bit later on because that's a really important part of growth for these athletes. Now, I think it's important that there's a key mind shift involved here. Losses are part of building championship athletes. We've been told this, we've seen this before, and progress is not linear. Sometimes a rough weekend it forces the most growth for that individual and for the team. So here are some recommendations on what athletes can do. Number one, and I'm going to just go with three here, things that they can do after a weekend like this, is to decompress and to detach. Just take a short mental break after that weekend. Two is to reflect. And reflect on questions like, what did I learn? What could I control? What could I improve this week? And third is to refocus. Commit to a focused practice week. Remember, attitude and effort first. Now, what should the team do? That was what the athlete should do. What about the team? What should the team do? Well, don't ignore the weekend. You're going to want to acknowledge what happened openly in practice. Everyone's thinking about it. They were all there. So talk openly and honestly about the weekend. Also, break it down constructively, not emotionally. Focus on process goals for the next week, not outcomes. Rebuild team spirit and connection, and make sure, above all else, to support each other, to stress that this is a team and that every teammate, regardless of the outcome, that they should be supporting each other. Now, what about parents? Do parents have a role in this whole process? They sure do. Here's some recommendations on what parents can do in these moments. First, encourage your athlete. Remind them that one bad weekend doesn't define them. You want to reinforce effort, not outcome. I've said this so many times. I'm going to say it again because it's really appropriate for this episode. Reinforce effort, not outcome. You want to ask reflective questions versus giving critiques. And you want to stay positive about the team and coach in front of your athletes. I need to stress that part of it is staying positive for your young athlete when it comes to the team and the coach, especially when you're in front of your athlete. Now, it's okay to have a disagreement about your opinion regarding a situation. My recommendation, pull the coach aside. Have that private conversation with the coach. Publicizing this thing will, in fact, demoralize the team, demoralize other parents, and it brings the overall vibe way down. When in fact, in this moment, I think collectively we need to be working together to bring the energy up, to bring the positivity up, to bring the encouragement up. Ultimately, that's a big part of what the future is going to look like for a successful product on the field and a successful experience for everyone involved. Trust me, attitude matters. Here's some of the things that I don't recommend. I don't recommend that you panic or you start looking for another team after one bad weekend. You don't want to critique coaching decisions loudly or around your child, and you don't want to compare your child to another child. You don't want to compare your athlete to another athlete. It's unfair to your athlete, and it's also unfair to that other athlete as well. Now, building long-term resilience is going to be one of the best benefits, and I would say results here, is the big picture perspective is that tough weekends are part of teaching resilience, accountability, and grit. Athletes who learn to handle losses, they will mature much faster and bounce back stronger than those that don't experience it. Here is a fact. You will learn more in a loss, in a defeat, than in any victory lap. Now, parents and coaches, they play a huge role in framing failure as fuel and not trauma. And why to look at this moment of it looks like it's defeat, it's disappointing, it's discouraging, a tough weekend of losses. Why this actually can be looked at as a gift. You see, these experiences, they teach kids how to handle adversity in life, not just sports. Sports, it's a vehicle to teach kids to be better when they get older. It helps them to learn the skill of bouncing back. Everyone loves a good comeback story. And this is a moment that's gifted to your athlete and you as a parent and as a team, as a unit. You're being gifted the opportunity to create a comeback story. Bouncing back makes an individual stronger. So there's an opportunity for this group, this team, to actually bounce back stronger than they ever were in the past. Champions are built when no one is watching after the toughest moments. Now, a couple key takeaways that I want parents and athletes that are listening to remember here. First, don't overreact after a bad weekend. They're going to happen. 2, reflect and focus on specific controllable actions this week. Don't let too much time pass before you allow yourself to do that, but take the next week to reflect a little bit. Ultimately, this is how we're going to improve. Stay unified as a team and as a family. One weekend is a snapshot. It is not the entire story. Long-term success comes from how you handle these moments and how you respond when it's hard. So here's the main thing. Remember this. Growth happens in the hard moments. Right now, you've been gifted an opportunity to bounce back. Those who bounce back are stronger, more resilient, more capable of handling tough moments. Tough moments as an athlete is part of the game. It doesn't matter what sport you play, you will have a tough moment, a moment where it's going to be adverse. Your ability now to get through it could come from this tough experience that you just had this past weekend, maybe losing every single game as a team or not playing your best and you feel like you made a lot of mistakes. Well, guess what? We're going to turn that into a victory. This is the moment where your team comes back. It bounces back. You'll be stronger for it. Quitting is not the answer. Giving up is not the answer. Keep on pressing forward, looking at your team as an extension of your family and do it together. Thanks for tuning in this week to Raising Athletes. We hope this was helpful to everyone. If so, do me a favor and share it with your community as we grow this community together. Take care.